Hello and welcome to Monkey's Paper Palooza Craft Corner. Today we are going to be starting part 1 of our 2-part series on the My Monthly Hero January 2019 kit, which is a fun, almost spring and Valentine mix kit. And you get some really fun things in this kit. And so this is the kit. As you see, the first packet is jammed full. It is really, I think this is the fullest I've ever seen one of their add-on packs to the stamp set itself. And there's the stamp set. As you see, it's got a beautiful little spring floral and bike design where you can bring in some Valentine's messages as well as some spring gardening messages. So really fun. So first, let's start by opening this add-on packet. So in this, you get a lot of stuff. Now, I just noticed, of course, my stickers that are on the roll here somehow stuck to the plastic, and now they're kind of being pulled off. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to save them all. I don't know how they're going to kind of either get stuck by static to the cello bag. So I think I've lost 2 of them here. We'll see if I can get them back. Yeah, they're stuck on. They stuck themselves on. Okay, well, in these stickers you get 2 different designs. Oop, and this one just fell off and stuck on my glass mat, but that's all right, it'll come right off. But you get one that says, "You are loved," and one that has a beautiful little tulip potted flower design. Now, the one with the tulip potted design is actually a clear sticker, and this one, of course, is an opaque black. And you do get 10 of those. So now I'm going to move on to the paper. Now, on their card, it does say you get 10 sheets, 5 of the pink and 5 of the red. But for some reason, I got 6 of each, which is not a bad thing. Wow, they gave me extra. Somehow either they got miscounted or they just gave me extra. But that's not a big deal. I noticed both of them have 6, so I did notice that on their thing it did say 10, so I don't know. But there's 12 of them altogether. And you also get 10 of these beautiful little vellum envelopes. They're just darling. And look at that beautiful clear vellum. Then you get this pink glimmer lacquer pen. It is very similar to the clear lacquer pen. The only thing different is it is a pink color with a little bit of glimmer in it. So let me just show you if I can get it to focus. There we go. You can see that little bit of pearlescent glimmer in it. And you can actually do like you do with Nuvo drops, make a little dot and actually get a beautiful little embellishment with that. So it is a fun little thing. Like I said, very similar to Nuvo drops or enamel accents. Same tube as their clear lacquer pen. So very easy to use. Now in this beautiful pale pink satin ribbon, you have the stamp set and the die set. This stamp set, like I said, has multi-seasons into it. You can use it for spring or you can use it for Valentine's Day because they have a little bit of everything in there. And like I said, there's the dies. You get a big frame die too. And it does tell you all the little things you get. And like I said, 10 sheets. I got 12. But hey, we're not going to complain. And then the 10 vellum envelopes, the stickers, and all the fun stuff you get in it. And I love this little design on it. Sometimes they're great little inspirational pieces. A lot of people like to use them in their cards. I've seen people use them in their cards, and it's absolutely beautiful. Very pretty backdrop. Now here's your stamp. And like I said, you get little tiny bird and hearts and bird music and flower pots. So you can make both Valentine's cards or a very spring, beautiful spring card with some flowers and some pots. It's kind of multi-season, which is kind of cool because usually this kit is more stemmed towards Valentine's Day. So I cut out the dies and I'm going to show you. Once again, Hero Arts went all out. They made a die for almost everything, from the littlest music note to the biggest little heart, and you can even move the heart up and down depending if you want a full heart or an open heart. You've got little flower pot, little saucer for your flower pot. It's endless. There's so many little things. It's adorable. And you got these beautiful little sentiments that are very Valentine's Day or very happy and lovely and spring-like also. And then you get this beautiful little easel die. Now the easel die has the outer part and then the little like chalkboard part for the easel. So you can make a little message on that. And the same thing with the window. You get the window frame as well as the inner frame to make like a shaker card or a chalkboard design on that too. So possibilities are endless. So there's going to be so much fun we can do with this kit. Like both spring cards as well as fun little Valentine's Day cards with the balloon and the hearts. It's a very fun little kit and I think you're going to enjoy using it. Now, you can also get a lot of inspiration from these pictures. Like you can take the colors from this and use it in your thing as well as in the bike. Get ideas of what to do with your bike with the flower pots or even, the colors to use in it. So very fun. So let's start making our first card. Now for the first one, I'm taking a piece of the pink paper that came with the kit and some fired brick. And I'm going to just kind of partially blend in some of this fired brick into the paper, just to give it a nice fun little shadow. And this cardstock is very thick, so it's a very nice weight and actually takes to the color very well. I'm going to spritz this with some water just to give us some fun little water droplet effects. And splash some on it. And then I'm going to dab it dry, and there we go, that fun little speckled. Let's activate those Distress Oxides. I was just watching Creativation and seeing his new Distress Oxide sprays, which is totally amazing to me. I hope to get some so I can show you guys how fun they are. All right, so we're going to take out our stamping platform, and I, of course, am using the We Are Memory Keepers Precision Press, and I'm going to stamp out these images of the bicycle and the little crate and the balloons. And a tip I gave the other day is not putting it up against both of the sets of pegs. I find if I do that, I sometimes have my paper shift and it's easier for me to realign it back up to the line if it does move, especially with the Hero Arts because they tend to stick really well. So I'm going to do this in Memento Tuxedo Black because I'm going to color these with my Arteza pens, and I do not want the black to smear, so it works really good with those pens. And there we go. And the fun thing I love about this is majority of times I only need to do one push because you can get a very even push with it just by pushing down lightly. And there we go. There's our images to color. So with that being said, let's get a color in. So I'm going to speed this up only for the sake of you guys not watching me color for 30 minutes. But they're really fun to color. You can get a very pretty color in them because even the bicycle's lines are very, very wide, so you can color them in and make some fun with it. And I'm choosing to color the bike red because I'm trying to go for a Valentine's look here. So I wanted it to look like this is a bike full of love with buckets of flowers and balloons. So I'm coloring in the aspects. And as you see, I've missed a little red there. I want to add a little bit more. And I'm even going to color in the handle and the thing in a grayer tone. And maybe even the wheels a little bit, just to darken them up a little bit. So the tires look like they're black. Because one thing I really love about Heroes Art's dies is they make them really fun. And they put cutouts where you would think you wouldn't be able to die cutout for. And you'll see it with this bike. There's a lot of open spaces that they made cutouts for. And even some of the other ones, they like the flower pot, the watering can and other stuff like that. They have like the handle free. It's really cool how they make those dies to cut out even in the center of the die. So I'm going to color these little bouquets next. Now that I got the bike and the crate ready and the balloons. And I just basically just colored the balloons because I'm going to do something to them later that it's not going to really matter. It was just a base color, just in case I missed a spot. So now we just got to do these little bouquets and we'll be ready to die cut all our pieces out and assemble our card. So, okay, I cut out all those and you see the bike has the spokes all cut out and everything. It's just amazing. We are going to add a little strip of the red that came in the kit also. And as you see, I also have a red and pink polka dot card form ready for this card. So I'm just going to go along the strip. There we go. I just had to start up my roller. And I'm trying to find which way I want to go because I want to make sure I get enough of that wonderful distress look popping through. So there's some that shows more than the other, and I want to make sure I'm going in the right direction. And then we trim that off. And now we're going to line up our bike. I'm trying to figure out our layout here. I want the crate on the back, some flowers in it. Almost like what they had in the picture that came with the kit. They had a crate with flowers in it. And then I'm going to add the balloons behind it. So it looks like it's a bike coming to a Valentine with tons of beautiful gifts. I'm going to lay it out one more time. There, that's more like what I'm looking for. I didn't want the balloons going out too far because then they're going to stick out the card. So I'm going to take my Nuvo Precision Glue pen and just go over it. Usually I use my Zig, but today I feel like using this because this one I really don't want it to stay wet for long. I want it to adhere quickly because sometimes you get a temporary hold until the glue dries with the Zig, and that's great for gems and stuff. But for this, I want it to stick as quick as possible so that I can add all the pieces. So I'm just going to drop a little bit there. And then we're going to do a little bit more on these balloons. Sometimes having the right type of glue for the right project is very important. That's why it doesn't hurt to have multiple types of pens in your collection, multiple things in your toolbox, different kinds of adhesives and adhesive mounts, because you're always going to need something different for each project. Some projects look great with glue dots, others look good with foam adhesive squares. You know, it depends on what you're doing and what you want it to do. Like I always say, it's always good to have more than less. All right, let me just get into this. Get our little flower bouquet on the back there, and then I just want to put a little bit of a flower bouquet on the front here, and then that is done there. Isn't that fun? Give it a little bit of 3D on top of the fun. That way everything pops out on the card. So we're going to also put this on a piece of craft foam just to give a nice even layer to this. Glue roller seems to be running a little crazy today, but I'm going to push down a little harder so it sticks better. Make sure we're going the right way. Always test your card flat when you're sticking on things. I've done that one time. Turned it upside down. It was like, oh, there's my card so far. So I was going to put a sentiment on the front and I decided against it. So instead I'm going to go over my balloons with this fun glimmer pen that we got. That way it gives it kind of like a balloon sheen. You know how you see those balloons and they have that swirly design on it? That rubber sometimes has an iridescence to it. Gives it that fun look. So I'm going to go around the first one. And that's why I kind of put the pink underneath, because it was similar in color. And that way too, if a little bit peeked through, it wasn't going to show drastically. There we go. And I'm also going to use this, like I said, the way you would use your Nuvo drops. Let's get some little dots down. You here. And then a few there. I wanted to show you the different ways you can use this pen. So covering up an image to using it as droplets. And that's cute. A cute little Valentine's card right there. Now I forgot to put the sentiment in, so I let it dry. That's why we're after the fact. And I'm going to show you what I mean, because somebody asked me, what do you mean you can put it on after the fact? When you have a 3D card, sometimes the hinges get in your way and you get a crease. The nice thing about the floating plate is you don't get a crease. You get a perfect impression because you're not trying to squish it into a thing. So like for a top folding card like this, sometimes you can't have that hanging out of your MISTI or hinge platform. But this is nice because you can go over it and just get a good layer without warping or adding a crease to your other part of your card. Look at that. Be mine. Happy Valentine's Day. Isn't that cute? And there it is, finished with it's dried. Isn't that kind of cool? All right, for our second card, we're going to use our window. And we are going to have some fun. We're going to make a bright, beautiful spring flower card. Now, another thing I do like about this We Are Memory Keepers is when you have a big stamp like that, I feel like you get a more even pressure. You can caress the ink into the card versus pushing down on the plate. So watch how I push down on this, and I'm also going to caress this ink into it so that you get everything in. And that does help you get an even coat the first time versus an uneven coat like I've had before. So just by caressing your ink in, you get that wonderful one-time inking. So now that I got the window down, I need to get all the other little accents I'm going to add to the card, including the watering can, the flowers, the little pots, all these fun things. So I'm just going to get them all laid out for you. That way you can see them. Look at all the little pieces we're going to add. And I have to say, there are tons of little flowers and pots and stuff, so you can make any type of design you really want to make. Kind of cool that way. I'm going to put that also in the Memento. Last video we did no line watercoloring. This would even be really cute if you wanted to do this in no line watercolor. It would be a beautiful little piece you could do. I might even try that in the next one, show you how it could come out. There's so many different techniques you can use to color images. Just the black and white is one part. It depends if you're a Copic color or you are a watercolor person. So I'm going to color these also in my Arteza markers. And we're just going to color those down. So I'm starting by shading in the top of the canopy. And I'm doing it in the bluish tones, which is kind of fun. Makes it very bright for springy look. With this canopy window, you could go either way. You can go very soft or you can go very bright. It all depends on what look you're looking for in your card. I, of course, chose to go very bright. And I did make a couple goof ups, but since I am coloring this in with a secondary color, because I am going in with a almost candy pink color, it will blend in pretty well. So don't worry about that goof up there. It'll be gone before you know it. And then I'm probably going to go over the colors just to line them up with the darker colors. That way they stick out a little bit more on the edges. There I am. I'm just going to go over with the blue. That way I get a nice dark shadow along the lines. That way they're very crisp and clean. And the same thing with the pink. I'm going to go around it with the pink. That way we stay crisp and clean. All right, so there's our canopy. So now I also want to add that pink into the layout of the border, just to keep it bright and happy throughout the whole card. I'm going to color inside pink. I think this one I'm going to go pink, and the next video we'll do another window card and we'll go a little lighter. Just to show you the different aspects you can do, and maybe we'll even do one that's a darker shade too, like more richer colors. All right, so I got the pink in there, and now I'm going to come in with almost a light grayish purple, which is going to make it really bright and pretty. We're just going to go in here and color it in. And I'm going to put in some shadowing later too, just to give it some shadow and some dimension above underneath that canopy. We're just going to color in this card. All right. There it is. And we're going to leave that little box in area white. It's not a big deal to not color in that part because the flower pots are going to actually be in front of it. All right, so now I'm going to do my shadowing just to make sure it's shadowed in the places that would be shadowed. And then do my hinges for my brackets for my canopy. Now comes the fun part. We're going to color our little flowers and our buckets. I'm going to start with all the green. We got like some hyacinths and some tulips, roses, hanging flowers. There's so many different little flowers I put in this little thing. So very springy, very, very nice for Mother's Day cards, or just a nice little spring bouquet flower. Even Easter cards in a way. If you did buckets of tulips and a little bunny, you can make it an Easter. This kit really does kind of encompass a big amount of seasons, because you can go Valentine's Day or you can go spring, you could go Easter with it, you could go, like I said, Mother's Day, whatever season. You know, last year they did the kit for Valentine's Day and it was very love and Valentine's Day oriented. There was no flowers really, it was just very, it was basically just word love and very Valentine's-y. It's kind of nice to see this go in a different way this time. So I'm very excited to see this. So I colored the tulips and I'm coloring now the roses and the hyacinths, and I'm just going to go in with the little wicker bottoms on those baskets. And now I'm going to color our crate. And then for the bucket and like the cream container, I'm trying to figure out what colors I want to do for those. But let's start with the flowering can, because we're probably going to do that in a steely gray color. Since we have a lot of color going on, we didn't want to add too much. So color that in. our thing. Let's do like a kind of creamy apricot color for that. Put a little color for the handle. Bucket, let's do it in a blue. Make it really bright. And then do the handle on that also. There we go. So now I cut all my pieces out. And we're going to put a little layer of gray behind here. Now, I was originally going to do this like a little chalkboard bit behind it and put a sentiment on the card front on the paint paper that came with it, but I really decided that it just, to me, it was too light. So I'm going to change my mind. But right now I'm going to show you how I assembled the little flowers. I just put a little bit of adhesive on the back of each little flower thing together, and I'm going to stick them together in special little pots. There's one, there's two, we're going to put those together, and we're going to put those. So basically I'm just going to roller adhesive them on, a little roller glue on it, put that aside, and we'll attach them with foam adhesive squares after they're all attached. And I actually pulled out a piece of gray wood grain paper, actually from, I think it was last February's kit with the birds. I had some left over, so I'm going to use that as my backdrop of my storefront. So I found some really pretty blue kind of streaky paper that I'm going to use for my window instead. I just layered that on top of that spot, and that's also why I colored the gray around it, just so it had some shadow. So I'm going to adhere this now onto, we get to in frame, onto this panel of wood grain paper. Isn't that cute? Kind of makes it stick out a little bit more. And now we're going to add our little pots. We're going to add some just regular adhesive. These I didn't want to 3D mount because they're supposed to be hanging under the canopy, not over it. I do have to say, the one thing I'm not crazy about sometimes with die cuts is the white line you get around them. So sometimes I see everybody do it and I know it's acceptable, but it just, to me, it looks weird. I don't know. Especially when you have it right up against a very colorful panel. Sometimes it drives me a little crazy, but I know that's fine. All right, so we got the flower buckets done, and I'm going to stick them on to here. And then I'm also going to get that watering can in there too. All right, so let me get some more adhesive squares, and we're going to put some on the watering can here. Just push those down, and then I have this other one. I wasn't sure if I want to do it up there, but I think I'm just going to do it on top of these other ones because I think it might pull too much away from it. And there's that. And then I have another very fun polka dot colored card form that I'm going to use with all the colors that are actually in this card, which is kind of cool. I like that when that happens. And there we go. You can see that fun wood grain paper. Now, I was going to do enamel accents in the window just to make it glossy, but I think I'm going to leave it alone because sometimes too much is too much. We're going to go right into the inside sentiment. So I'm going to flip it the easiest way over. I'm going to put our magnets down, make sure we're down. I'm going to do wishing you a wonderful day. I like when they make the sentiments kind of separate so you can make different kind of word sentiments with it. I love it when kids do that because it's like you can make your own sentiment. You don't get stuck with the same sentiment over and over again. You can mix and match it, make wishing you a beautiful day, wishing you a lovely day. It's so much fun. Wishing you a lovely Valentine's Day. It's endless. I love it when they do that. It's like build your own sentiment. So once again, a card without a front sentiment, but a beautiful design in the front and a fun sentiment inside. Very fun, colorful card. Now for this last card, we're going to do something a little fun and a little bit different. I'm going to make an easel card, and I'm not going to be using a card form. I'm going to make my easel into my card form. So I'm going to come in here with my Spellbinders tool in one and just poke out all the little elegant little details in this. I've also taken a little piece of paper and I've taken my score pal and scored it. That will be my top hinge. So I got my two panels here. Make sure we got both of them lining up here. So everything lines up good. Now, I think I might have cut this a little long, and I did. So I'm going to trim this down. Now we got it. So we're going to make a little flap. I'm going to put some adhesive on there. And we're just going to adhere that underneath the little filigree part. And then I'm going to cut a little bit more off on the other side because that's where my sentiment is going to be inside. And then I'm going to try to line these up and fold it right on top as close as I can. And then I have my hinged little design here. Isn't that kind of cool? Now to give it a little bend, I'm also going to do the top of the panel with my score pal. I use the score pal 8s. And sorry, this is taking a little while. I have to hide my scoring tool because my 4-year-old thinks it's fun to pop it off the board. So I hide it in a drawer now so that he doesn't pop it off. So I had to get to my drawer. And then I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive onto, sorry, that's off screen, onto that. Now we should be all set. So I cut two little squares. The first one is going to be my front chalkboard square. And I'm going to put some fun little white embossed sentiments on it. And then I'm going to, and like I said before, I line this up in a spot where I can line it up again. If for a chance my paper should move, I can line it up again. And I like using my grids for that reason. Because sometimes doing it right along the thing, it can bounce. And like with Hero Art stamps tend to pull the paper more. They're very high quality polymer, so they're a little stickier. So they tend to stick to the paper a lot too. So I'm going to heat emboss that. So we have our first little sentiment on there. And I'm using the Recollections white embossing powder. So I put You're Beautiful. And then I'm going to use the You're again and pick the other sentiment out. So here's the You're. And I'm going to put Lovely down below. I'm just going to push it up a little bit more so I can fit the next one in. It's kind of like a little inspirational Valentine's Day card that I'm trying to make here. It's like, you're lovely, you're beautiful. And then the next one is going to be, you're wonderful. And I'm going to put that on the bottom. There's the you're, and then wonderful. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to emboss it with our embossing thing, and there it is, all together. So now I'm going to take some of the worn lipstick, and I'm going to just, almost like a chalkboard, dust it around the edges. And I'm going to do the warm lipstick, and then I'm going to layer it with some unicorn white pigment ink, just to give it that chalkboardy feel to it. But I thought the pink would be a nice touch underneath because it would give it more of a Valentine's-y pink feel. I was going to stamp on little hearts on it, but they just didn't take well. And I was going to do it in red, so they were bright, but I figured I'd die cut them out instead. And here I am coming with the unicorn white, just touching around the edges with it, so that way it doesn't interfere with the pink too much, but kind of pops it out a little bit more. Don't be afraid to mix your fun things together. And now I have a messy, messy, messy thing. So I'm just going to go over this with a paper towel just to smooth it in. It also helps it dry a little bit so I don't have any really thick spots. Let that there. Check that out. Isn't that cute? So now we're going to adhere this to our chalkboard. Kind of easel card. It's kind of fun. I figured it'd be a little different than making it kind of a basic, putting an easel on top of a card form. It's like you can make this into a little tiny card. And like I said, I took some pink pearl paper I had, and I cut little teeny hearts that go with it. I thought it'd be really fun to do that. And just kind of put them kind of either side around each little sentiment. One for you're wonderful, you're lovely, and then the you're beautiful. So now I'm going to do the inside sentiment. And since it's kind of hard to stamp in that easel design, I mean, you could if you did the panel before you adhered it all together, but I thought it'd be really fun to add a card, little cardstock in that pink that came in the kit, and put the Be Mine in it. Also, it covered up the hinge a little bit, so I thought it would be a fun way to do it. So I get the little hearts that came in the kit plus the Be Mine, and I'm going to do that in rhubarb stock, so it kind of pops on that pink. And then I'm going to adhere it to the inside of the card. And what's nice about making this easel card is it's a fun little design that is different than the basic card. And I like the size of it. And I'm going to show you why it's a good size in a minute. But first, I'm going to put a little bit of this pink. Oops, and I'm a little off center, but that's okay. I'll go a little off center with all of them a little bit. And I was going to put dots on those, but I think I'll just leave it alone. Isn't that cute? Now, this easel card is perfect size for your little vellum envelopes that came in the kit. So if you like this video, please watch the last uploaded video, as well as a video specially curated just for you. And like always, we welcome you to like, subscribe, and ring for notifications. But also make sure to check out our website for fun deals, as well as Facebook and Instagram.